Hey, here's part B for any of you guys who just couldn't get enough. Some of you are already done with part A, but I prepared part B, so I'm going to give it to you. Those guys over there who need to finish up part A, I'm going to let them work. Here are some of the things that are most important, and I noticed from your mock exams were most challenging about part B. I can boil down your part B into three things. Tell what you did, how and why. What you learned, explain how and why. What your next goals were, and explain how and why. What you did, what you learned, what your goals are. Explain, don't just describe, explain how and why. You're going to do a range of explorations. Make sure you get them all in there. That can be reading about it, watching videos about it, trying it on your own, showing it to another classmate and getting feedback, recording yourself at home. Remember when we were teaching it to the year 11s, they came and visited our class. What did you learn from teaching them? How did you learn about it by trying to apply it to the traditional work? That's the big overview. If you can get what you did, what you learned, and what your next goals were for each of those, you're going to do a great job. Here's some more little specifics about how to get all that into 5 minutes. Go chronologically. Start with the day that you decided this was the tradition you wanted to study, right up until the night before you give your final. Quote your journal. We'd write so many journal entries to reflect on that day's work. Quote your journal. Say, way back in September, I wrote in my journal, I don't understand X. Now, I can't believe that's the easiest part, not the hard part. Or, I never thought I would learn how to pronounce Quiengulech. Take images all along the way. Now, I've been telling you to take pictures, and I've told you to always make sure your partner takes pictures of you when you're presenting an exploration. Use them. Put them in your slides, but that's not explaining. That's really just becomes a list. You've got to explain each one when we see it. This is me. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what I learned. After that, here's what my goals were. Use the vocabulary of the convention here again. Tell how, which is going to be your describing, and why, which is explaining. What you studied, practiced, learned. And you can even get a little bit of your sources in there. I learned my convention by watching the video blank, and then I tried to imitate the blank and learned blank. After that, my goal was to blank. You've just hit everything. You hit all the different qualities, you've explained it, and you can feel comfortable moving on to the next one. I taught a workshop to the year 11s on the convention blank, and I realized blank by blank. This was important because blank. All of this is in the template I gave you, but if you can introduce it, tell what the exploration was, use different kinds of explorations, not just get up and do it. That's a good one, but reading, watching, teaching, all important ones. According to the experts on blank, a true practitioner of blank is able to blank. I reached that 50%. I reached it 80%. I will never reach that 10%. All of those are fine. Just make sure you're reflecting and explaining. Finally, we're not working on part C quite yet, but keep track of your how you feel about it now moments in your journal, because those are going to become your part C, your reflection. I'm going to ask you to answer things like, the greatest impact my research had on me is blank. This came primarily from blank. So have that in your journal notes. My convention of whatever was strongly similar to or contrasted my experience of maybe a show you've done before, maybe you work as a dancer, maybe your vocal work as a chorus member, maybe your joy watching stand-up comedy. Have those in your journal. We're not doing part C yet, but when you are, it's good to have that stuff ready to go. Hey, if you watched this extra video, I really appreciate you. You're great. Good luck. Be ready to present part A and part B to a fellow student in class next time. I hope that covers the main things. All of this, as well as the template, will be in our class website so you can refer back to it later. You're great.